You are Locked On Celtics Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Boston, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Well, not one, not two, but three different streaks coming to an end for the Celtics in their 20-point loss in Detroit against the Pistons at Little Caesars Arena on Wednesday night. We welcome you to our latest Locked On Celtics postcast. I'm Steve Lennox, longtime college basketball play-by-play announcer, former show host on both satellite radio and ESPN radio. Watch Celtics games back in the day as a kid on a small black and white TV. You're right where you need to be present day. You are locked on with our latest Locked On Celtics postcast, providing reaction to every Celtics game on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel, as well as the Locked On Celtics podcast feed, which is free and available wherever you get your podcasts. On our latest Locked On Celtics postcast, we're going to discuss Jaylen Brown being out the second game of a back-to-back, a win on Tuesday night in Toronto, a loss on Wednesday night in Detroit against the Pistons. Wasn't just that Jaylen Brown was out of the lineup. The Celtics hit 21 threes, but they didn't hit a whole heck of a lot of shots inside the three-point line, and the Pistons just demolished them inside the paint. We do want to hear from you, our everydayers and our first-timers. Join the conversation, watching live on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel. Hit the comment button. Join the Celtics conversation. Subscribe to the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel. Also give us a follow on the X, formerly known as Twitter, at Lennox on Hoops, with questions, comments, or concerns. Your favorite podcast now has a newsletter. Introducing the Locked On Celtics Daily Newsletter. One stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up right now for free at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com, and start your day with the all-new free Locked On Celtics newsletter. So the Celtics, three streaks coming to an end. Pistons ending a 12-game losing streak against the Celtics. The Celtics' 6-game win streak overall coming to an end. 8-game road winning streak also coming to an end. This game was tied. Pistons were up 9 after 1, tied at the half, with the Celtics knocking down 11 three-pointers in the second quarter and knocked down 14 threes to just 5 for the Pistons in the first 24 minutes. Derrick White, 4 threes, 12 points in the second quarter. Again, down 9 after 1, doing a nice job to get back into it in the second quarter. Game tied at 55-55. Now, the Pistons ended the first quarter on an 11-0 run, extended that to 12 with a 20-6 run going back to the first quarter early on in the second. Derrick White, a couple of threes in the first 2 minutes, but Joe Mazzulla calling a timeout after Isaiah Stewart finished at the rim. Celtics down 15, KP a 3, down 12, 43-31, and then White knocked down a 3, his fourth three of the game. Celtics down 9 in the second quarter. And then the Celtics got going from deep. Pistons an empty trip. Pritchard all alone in transition, had all the time in the world, knocked down a three-pointer. And the Celtics within 5 at 51-46. Under 2 to go in the second. Pistons a miss. Horford a 3, 12th of the half, 9th of the quarter. And then Pritchard another three-pointer. Celtics a 12-2 run. Horford knocked down another 3 to tie the game at 55. That was the score going into the locker room. Pistons, after the Celtics had a shot clock violation, had it with 3.9, could not score in the closing seconds just before halftime. Now, Detroit took care of business in the third quarter, outscoring the Celtics 35-24. They scored the first 6 points of the quarter and sort of went from there. Tatum hit a 3, Hardaway Jr. hit a 3 for the Pistons, KP a 3, Tobias Harris a 3. Back and forth they went. And then all of a sudden, they sort of went cold. Under 6 to go, Tatum all the way to the rim, but the Celtics just weren't getting stops in the third quarter, and that continued into the fourth quarter as well. KP, tough third quarter. Couldn't get a shot off at one point against a smaller defender, then called for an offensive foul. Celtics were down 79-68 with 4 to go in the third quarter. Cada to Hauser for a 3, down 8. But then Duren at the other end finishing at the rim. At that point, in the third quarter, when Duren finished at the rim, 46 points in the paint for the Pistons through 2+ quarters, and 14 in the third. Out of a timeout, Tatum forced up a shot on a fadeaway. Harris hit a three at the other end. Pistons up 13. Pritchard, a hard take, drew the foul, and got the and one. Hit the free throw. Celtics within 10 with just under 3 to go in the third. But in the final minute, Beasley a three. Celtics down 11. Pistons with 90 points at that point in time. Tatum missed on a jumper. Detroit a turnover. And then Tatum a missed three. But Beasley had a couple of threes in that third quarter. And then Brian Scalabrine on NBC Sports Boston with Drew Carter, start of the fourth quarter. Hey, the first 3 minutes are going to be important. Turnover, Beasley, a three. Holiday, offensive foul. Beasley, another three. Down 17, Pistons, first 8 points in that fourth quarter. Celtics down by 19, missed their first 3 shots, had 3 turnovers. 5 to go, 108-90. Joe Mazzola had 4 different players at the scorer's table ready to check in. He was throwing in the white towel. Well, it was a while. Finally, whistle at the 4:40 mark. Walsh, Tillman, J.D. Davison, Drew Peterson, Baylor Shireman, all into the game, and the Celtics end up losing by 20. So those 3 streaks are over. And the Pistons also extend their win streak as well. They continue to roll. And Detroit, hey, they've gotten better over the course of this season. They've now won 8 in a row. And depending on how things unfold, they entered the night looking for an 8th straight win. We're looking for a first win of the season against the Celtics. And during the win streak, this was the big win during this current 8-game win streak for the Detroit Pistons. This victory for the Pistons Wednesday night, their biggest game of the season. And they came away with a resounding victory. Couple of wins against the Bulls, a victory against the Spurs in there, against the 76ers prior to extending the win streak to 8 in a row. But they were impressive. And if they're in that number 4 spot in the East, Drew Carter and Brian Scalabrine alluded to it, there's still a lot of basketball to be played. They were a game out of that number 4 spot in the East entering Wednesday night. So if 1 through 4 end up winning in the opening round of the playoffs, it would be Cleveland and Detroit in the first round, in the true first round. Have fun with that one. It's a good team. And where they've come from and the woes that they've not only had in recent years, but you've got to go back a long way. They've tried to do some things. They built it up only to see the pieces fall apart. And they're doing this without Jaden Ivey, former first-round pick, terrific guard. But they've got a lot of nice pieces. Malik Beasley off the bench, Isaiah Stewart, sort of an enforcer. You got to love Cunningham. Tim Hardaway Jr. can be a big part of this team in a playoff series. I still love Tim Hardaway Jr. There's part of me who wonders, how has Tim Hardaway Jr. never been with the Celtics? That's right? I was going to check that because I'm doubting myself. Maybe we'll check that. I don't think he's ever been in the Celtics. I don't even know why I'm bringing that up. But with the loss, 6-game win streak comes to an end. 8-game road win streak comes to an end as well for the Celtics. First loss on the road since losing in Game 2 of a back-to-back against the Lakers back on January 23rd. Lost that one by 21, lose Wednesday night by 20. Their 2 losses this season by 20 or more. And the Pistons, their first victory against the Celtics since February 16th, 2022. So over 3 years. 12-game losing streak against the Celtics, over. Final meeting of the regular season between the two teams, Detroit takes the finale. So, do you want to say, well, Jaylen Brown was in the lineup, things could have been different? I don't subscribe to that. Dealing right now with a quad contusion. And we had touched on it. I would dare say he'll be back in the lineup Friday against the Cavaliers. But Joe Mazzola said, you know what? It's not happening. We're going to, what's 4+ minutes off the clock and on the bench? That does help over the course of a season, could help as well on Friday. But now with the loss against the Pistons, you want to avoid not only losing to the Cavaliers on your home floor, but you also want to avoid losing 2 in a row for just the second time this season. You don't want a losing streak right now. Now, if you drop 2 in a row, that's not the end of the day. That's not the end of the world, right? But you don't want this to go to 3 in a row because you've got another tough opponent in Denver coming to Boston on Sunday as well. This is an upcoming homestand. That's 7 straight, I believe it is. but there are some rough opponents in there. You've played better at home of late, but I still have a sour taste in my mouth from that embarrassing home loss against Dallas a while back. Hit the comment button. Let's get into it. Joseph, a schedule loss. I like that. Yeah, in some ways. This was just 2 games on the road, but go home and win on Friday night, all is forgiven. You split the 2 games. Detroit, you lose. You win in Toronto on game 1 of the back-to-back. And again, I keep bringing this up, but again, Cavaliers will have a little bit of an extra rest going into Friday's game. Celtics will be back home, off day on Thursday, get back at it on Friday. But when was the last time the Celtics played a team that was on the back end of a back-to-back? I have no idea. But it hasn't been recently. And I don't know that it's been since the turn of the calendar to 2025. Joseph, again, I thought that Tatum looked really bad in garbage time, was impressed. I thought that Xavier Tillman, looked really bad in garbage time, was impressed with Davison. I'm not going to kill Tillman. Again, a guy who's not getting consistent minutes at all. That's a tough 440. It really is. You want to go in, you want to impress, you want to make the most of your time on the floor. But a big, a lot of times it's going to be handled by the guards. Are they going to look to post you up or get you a look? You've got to sort of get yours. You get the ball, be a black hole, and put it up somehow. Pascal checking in. Pistons made KP, Drew, Horford look washed. They have some real good defenders. They do. I mean, we're going to be hearing about Asar and Amen Thompson for a long time. And if you like documentaries, Netflix, Overtime Elite with those 2 guys. Again, 2 top 5 picks, brothers, twins, NBA draft, never happened before. And you sort of look at that Overtime Elite and the documentary and you're like, okay, maybe this is a future for guys. And I don't think I think they came off humble. I don't think they were arrogant during the documentary. And give credit to both of them. They are future stars. And I mean, the future is almost right now for both of them. Amen Thompson in Houston, Asar in Detroit. Their games are very similar. Perhaps Amen Thompson is a bit better. But they're both terrific players. They really are. And they seem humble and have good shoulders on their heads and all those different cliches. I mean, they're going to be opposing players for a long time. But, boy, you got to admire the talent that they both have. Pascal, again, saying that KP, Drew, and Horford, looking wash against a team that gets after it. And they wanted this one. Because, again, they're probably hearing, hey, we've won 7 in a row, but who did we really beat? Well, they've now won 8 in a row, and they beat the defending champion Celtics, who came in on a 6-game win streak overall, 8-game road win streak, and the best team on the road this season. But Duren, 25-plus minutes, Cade Cunningham, and again, Ivy, is he a part of their future? I mean, is he being out with the injury the way he is right now? He's not coming back. It was season-ending. But they've got some guys who can absolutely get after it. What were the final rebound totals? 49-33, 13-8. The Celtics actually only had 1 offensive rebound, I believe, in the first half. So 13-8 on the offensive end. But the Celtics just got absolutely 21 threes to 13 for Detroit. That got closer in the second half as the Celtics knocked down 7 threes and got to that number, right at 49. They always seem to be right at 49 3-point field goal attempts in the game. But the Celtics just 12 of 31 inside the 3-point line, where Detroit was 62%, 34 of 55. I know we've got numbers of the night coming up. I think we've got some good ones to update you on. But a lot of those things right there, Celtics trailed by 23 in the fourth quarter, but outscored 62-20 in the paint. 62-20. And I mentioned it. Porzingis sometimes has difficulty getting shots off against smaller defenders for some reason. And a lot of times you think he's getting hit on the elbow, so it's altering the shot. But he had a shot where he really didn't get it off, or it just was ugly. and also had an offensive foul in the second half during, basically a minute's worth of time. So it kind of got ugly there. Again, keep the comments coming. If you're with us on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel, we take a break here, come back, get more into the scoring. The bench guys, Pritchard had a good game. White had a good game, but Holiday still may be dealing with that shoulder impingement. And KP, not a whole heck of a lot there. A rare off night of late. We'll get into that next. Glad you're with us. Locked On Sports Boston, your team every day. This is the Locked On Celtics postcast. Don't forget to tell your friends all about us. Make sure you subscribe to the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel as well. This Locked On Celtics postcast brought to you by Robinhood. With Robinhood Gold, you can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on retirement contributions. The privileges of the very privileged are no longer exclusive. With Robinhood Gold, your annual IRA contributions are boosted by 3%. You also get 4% APY on your cash and non-retirement accounts. That's over 8 times the national savings average. The perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive your 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rates subject to change. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold at $5 per month for 1 year from first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to Robinhood.com/boost. Over 8 times the national average savings account interest rate claim is based on data from the FDIC as of November 18, 2024. Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC. Celtics fall by 20 on the road in Detroit against the Pistons, who extend their win streak to 8 straight games. Again, if you're with us on the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button. Also join the conversation as well. I don't think this was a look-ahead game by any stretch for the Celtics. Looking ahead to Cleveland at home on Friday, but maybe serving not only up as a wake-up call for the Celtics, just in case they possibly face them at some point in the upcoming NBA playoffs, but I certainly think it gives a wake-up call to the Eastern Conference, because the Pistons absolutely can be a pain in the neck and extend a series to a 6th or 7th game. I could see it easily happening in the first 2 rounds. And if they get into that number 4 spot, what I failed to mention in segment number 1 is they would be hosting a first-round playoff series. They have not won a playoff game, let alone a series, in a really long time. So the Celtics lose a half game to the idle Cleveland Cavaliers. Boston will try to avoid a second straight loss for just the second time this season when they host the Cavaliers on Friday. They'll also be looking to snap Cleveland's latest win streak as well. Pistons have won 8 in a row, 33-26. Celtics 6-game win streak coming to an end, and the Celtics now 42-17 on the season. 18 wins needed to reach that 60-win total for the 24-25 NBA regular season. I was doing my 3 random NBA thoughts there for a while and sort of went away from that. Celtics have a lot of nationally televised games coming up. So with that, I get either ESPN, ABC, or TNT. I don't get NBC Sports Boston, but I got to tell you what. I enjoyed listening to Drew Carter and Brian Scalabrine on the NBC Sports Boston telecast on Wednesday night, just because you get a little bit more inside scoop where it's not just, glossing over things. I've said that before, but, just overall, they've got a better read night in, night out, as they should, than the national guys. The real Darrell, no legs tonight. Yeah, Tatum had some shots that were fadeaways, backing down defenders either at the elbow or even, further out, extended away from the basket, where I thought the pass was coming. And Tatum, sometimes you say, why is he taking that shot? But also, when he's putting the ball to the floor, 3, 4, 5, 6 dribbles, one-on-one against a defender, Notice the other 4 guys on the floor. That's when the ball sort of stops in one guy's hands, but nobody else is moving. They're all waiting, standing around, and seeing what Tatum's going to do. So tired legs, perhaps. Second game, yeah. Without one of your true rotation guys not in there and Brown, one of your starters, and you also have Kornet out for a second straight game due to personal reasons, I think overall that plays more into, no Jaylen Brown. But no Jaylen Brown combined with no Luke Kornet, there's a guy who's going to give you a couple of offensive rebounds. There's a guy who's also going to put a body on somebody when Detroit was collecting their offensive rebounds and putbacks as well. So just interesting in that sense of, it's not just Jaylen Brown. It was Kornet as well, a rotation guy off the bench and a guy who's been in your starting lineup on occasion as well. But 62. Now, the number is big, right? Detroit, 62 points in the paint. But when you have 42 more points than the other team, the Celtics having just 20 points in the paint, it's a big deal. Celtics were 10 of 15 at the line. KP had an empty trip. I believe it was Harris who had a technical foul, and Tatum missed a free throw. Those sometimes are an indication of the legs as well. But 21 of 49 and 43% on the three-point line, 41% overall. I mean, the Celtics were knocking down their threes. So, I think just when that game sort of got out of hand in that third quarter, and you're going to the fourth quarter and you're down by double figures, you're down by 11 after again, knocking down all the threes that they did, 11 in the second quarter to tie the game up after you were down by 9 after 1. Did they exert a lot of energy? Yes, they did. But time and time again, third, fourth quarter, Celtics did not get a lot of stops. And again, Joe Mazzola said, you know what, put the bench in there for the final, 4 minutes and 40 seconds of regulation. And I think in this sense, you have to credit what the Pistons did more than the Celtics, what the Celtics did not do. But Brown out, got to protect the paint better. You've got to, and it starts on drives. How many times the drive in a dish? How many times just one-on-one going to the basket? Cade Cunningham does that very well. Does it very well. So when I say Detroit's better in our rundown, Detroit's not necessarily better than the Celtics in a 7-game series, but the Pistons have gotten better steadily over the course of the season. And right now, it goes with an 8-game win streak. So where do they go from here? Kind of curious to see. I'm going to pay attention to them. Right now, I'm going to call the Detroit Pistons sort of the NFL, HBO, Max, Hard Knocks team. Because every time a team's featured on Hard Knocks in the preseason, I don't pay attention to the in-season stuff with the NFL, but that preseason when I get into it and I pay attention to it, and I did the Bears this, early last fall, I sort of pay attention to what that team does. I think pay attention to the Pistons here in the coming days and weeks as well. See if they continue with this on an 8-game. Now, are they going to win 12 in a row? I don't know. But are they going to win 12 of 14? Certainly possible. It's certainly possible for this Detroit team. And again, this was the big game on their schedule. Probably coming out of All-Star break. Probably even weeks before the All-Star break as well. We get into numbers of the night. That's next. As always, glad you're with us on the Locked On Celtics postcast, Locked On Sports Boston, your team every day. We are presented by DoorDash. Now, NBA fans, get ready. They swoosh, you save. Thanks to Dash Pass, every time a player in the NBA drops 50 or more points in a game, you score a huge deal the next day. Simple. When a player scores 50 or more in a game during the 24-25 NBA regular season, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order, up to $10 off the next day from noon to midnight. Here are a few ways you can take advantage of this deal. Late night cravings, whether you're staying up watching highlights or just need a midnight snack, use Dash Pass to grab something delicious while saving big. Also, lunch on the go. Need a quick and easy lunch the next day? With Dash Pass, you get your favorite meals with zero delivery fees and reduced service fees. Plus, now you save even more with this exclusive NBA offer. Sign up right now for Dash Pass and be ready to save. When an NBA player scores 50 or more in a regular season game for the 24-25 regular season, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order the next day, up to $10 off. Just use promo code NBA50 from noon to midnight after a 50-point game performance on eligible orders at participating merchants. Must have an active Dash Pass account. Terms do apply. Visit DoorDash to learn more. All right, numbers of the night here in just a moment. We'll also look ahead for the upcoming homestand as well for the Celtics. So, again, 3 win streaks coming to an end. Celtics 6-game win streak overall ending, 8-game road win streak coming to an end. 20-point loss, second 20-point loss of the season. Both those 20-point losses, losing by 21 against the Lakers a while back, both on the second game of a back-to-back as well. And the Celtics' 12-game win streak against Detroit coming to an end. Pistons' first victory against the Celtics for the first time since mid-February of 2022. So, the Pistons, number 2 in the league in fast break points. We mentioned the points in the paint. What were they with the fast break points in this game? 29. So, they were well above their season average. Second in the NBA, 29 fast break points to 8 for the Celtics during the course of a 20-point blowout victory. And they really took care of business in the second half. They scored 35 in the third quarter, 27 in the fourth quarter, but held the Celtics to 42 points in the second half of play. The Celtics had 20 in the first quarter. Tatum had 12 of the 20 in the first quarter. Celtics then with a big 35-point second quarter, tying the game at 55 at the half. And the Celtics held below 100 points for the 5th time this season and for the 4th time on the road. 92 in the loss against OKC, 97 at home against the Kings in a loss, 97 in a loss against the Raptors, 96 in that 21-point loss against the Lakers, and 97 in a 20-point loss against the Pistons in Detroit as well. Celtics scoring just 18 points in the fourth quarter. So 14 threes, 7 though in the second half. And just for the second time this season, the Celtics losing a game when they hit 20 or more threes in a game. Now 17-2 on the season when hitting 20 or more threes in a game. Their other loss on Christmas at home when they knocked down 20 and lost to the 76ers. So some of the numbers of the night. Celtics do extend their now NBA record as they've now hit 15 or more threes in 14 straight games. So that record continues as well as they continue to add on to that. Payton Pritchard did knock down 5 threes. Pritchard has 5 or more threes 19 times this year, and the 5 threes and the loss against Detroit, he's now hit 5 or more threes 30 times and coming off the bench during his NBA career. Those are your numbers of the night. Now we look ahead. Homestand is here. What do you need to do on this homestand? Is 6-1 out of the question? You're happy with 5-2, but who are those losses going to come against? You've got Cleveland on Friday. You're 2-1 against the Cavaliers. You don't want to give them any type of optimism in a series come playoff time when they're facing the Celtics. And right now, 1-2, it would be in the Eastern Conference Finals. So if you can go 3-1 against Cleveland during the regular season, got to win on Friday night. Homestand also features Denver on Sunday, Portland, Philadelphia again, the Lakers, Utah, and OKC. So it's not an easy homestand by any stretch. Right? It really isn't. That matchup against the Thunder Wednesday, March 17th, that's the final game of the 7-game homestand, and the Celtics still have a 6-game road trip on the schedule as well, as they'll be in Utah, Portland, Sacramento, Phoenix, San Antonio, and Memphis on a road trip as, the games are now ticking off the calendar. 23 left, 22 more after Friday, and the matchup against the Cleveland Cavaliers. We're going to be on within minutes of the final buzzer on Friday, hopefully talking about a Celtics victory and not a second straight loss. And I mentioned it. The real Darrell, I think, brought it up in the comments section. on Tuesday after the win against Toronto. What do you think Friday's going to be like? I think it's all hands on deck. I think it's go time. And I'm really thinking that there's going to be a playoff atmosphere at TD Garden Friday night. Louder crowd than we've seen at any point, heard at any point during the regular season. You want to call it a hostile environment? I think there's a potential for that on Friday. Absolutely. Beware of Donovan Mitchell in those situations on the road. Because that guy, to me, he may not be Trae Young, but he's awfully close. So again, we'll be on within minutes of the final buzzer on Friday night. Cavaliers, Celtics, final game of the regular season, final meeting of the regular season between the two. As always, we tip our cap, acknowledge our sponsors. By supporting our sponsors, you're supporting us with Locked On. Tip of the cap, and thank you very much to DoorDash and Robinhood. As always, we appreciate you being on board with us as well. Don't forget, subscribe to the Locked On Sports Boston YouTube channel, and also follow on Twitter at Lennox on Hoops. Locked On Sports Boston, number one place to hang out immediately after every game. Locked On Sports, your team, your Celtics every day.